It's Monday, September 15th, 2025. Welcome to your daily news update on Blip Brief. Small, but almost everything updated every weekday. All right, let's jump right in. Friday's close for the Indian market.
Wow, it was pretty positive, wasn't it? Both the Sensex and Nifty 50 benchmarks climbed by 0.4%. What was behind that energy?
It's interesting, yeah. A few things really came together. You had this growing global optimism, mostly hanging on hopes for a U.S. Federal Reserve rate cut coming up this week.
Ah, the Fed effect, always looming large.
Always. And that kind of positive feeling tends to spill over, especially into emerging markets like India. Plus, here at home, both foreign and domestic institutional investors, the FIIs and DIIs, they were actually net buyers.
So money flowing in.
Exactly, adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
And the Indian rupee also showed a bit of strength, recovered slightly. So it was this mix, global cues meeting local buying.
Makes sense. And looking at specific sectors, some weren't just up, they were really flying. The India Defense Index, it jumped a huge 4.4%.
Massive move. And capital goods were up 1.8%. Central public sector enterprises, the CPSEs, they gained 1.1%. That's quite specific. Suggests there's more to it than just general good mood.
Oh, absolutely. This isn't random noise. It's a clear reflection of that continued government push,
Yeah.
strengthening domestic manufacturing, especially in strategic areas like defense.
Right, the Make in India focus in defense spending?
Precisely. When the government signals strong support, investors take notice. So these gains, they feel more structural, tied to longer-term national priorities. The market seems to be buying that story.
Okay. And individual stocks. Ford Electronics, tied to defense, up 3.7%. Bajaj Finance saw a nice 3.4% increase.
Maybe some consumer optimism there.
Could be, capturing that general positive sentiment. But it wasn't all green. Eternal saw a dip of 2.0%. Hindustan Unilever down 1.6%, so some divergent.
And gold, it actually slipped 0.9% on Friday, which
Yeah.
feels a bit odd given its run lately. It does, short term, but you have to zoom out. Over the past year, gold's given a really stellar return, 50.1%. It's really cementing itself as a kind of trust currency.
Trust currency, I like that.
Yeah, because with all the uncertainty, inflation worries. Central banks globally have been loading up on it. They see it as a solid hedge, a store of value when things get choppy.
So Friday's dip was maybe just noise, profit taking.
Quite possibly. Short-term fluctuations. But the underlying trend, gold as a core holding, that seems incredibly strong. It really tells you something about the search for safety.
Definitely something to watch. Okay, let's look ahead. Today, Monday, what's the vibe? Nifty futures are pointing a bit lower, suggesting a cautious start.
Yeah, and Asian markets seem to be in the same boat. It's that classic wait-and-see mode. Crude oil is, volatile as ever.
So what's everyone waiting for? Still the Fed.
Primarily, yes. That U.S. rate decision later this week is casting a huge shadow. Until we get clarity there, you'll likely see investors playing it safe, less activity. It's the calm before the potential storm, you could say.
Right. And technically for the Nifty 50, any key levels analysts are watching?
They're suggesting a potential move towards 25,500 if momentum picks up. But crucially, there's strong support seen around the 24,900 level. That's kind of the floor to watch on the downside.
Okay, 25,500 upside potential, 24,900 support. Good markers.
Yeah.
Now, specific stocks expected to be active today. Vedanta, Adani Power, Railtel mentioned. Usually means news, right?
Absolutely. These companies have had recent announcements, new projects, fundraising, things like that always grab investor attention. Fundraising, for example, signals growth plans, which is often seen positively.
It makes sense. And IPO news. Urban Company's allotment status is due today. Heard the subscription was huge.
Huge is an understatement. It hit 103 times subscription on the third day. That's just phenomenal demand.
Wow, 103 times. That tells you there's still serious appetite for certain stories, doesn't it?
It really does. Shows strong belief in specific consumer-focused growth, even when the broader market is cautious. And it signals there's liquidity looking for good homes. Also, Grow, the investment platform, they're apparently filing updated IPO papers next week, aiming for November.
So the primary market is buzzing.
Definitely still has life in it.
Yeah.
Very different vibe from the cautious secondary market tone right now.
And speaking of big moves, Infosys's mega share buyback generated excitement. But there's a tax angle investors need to consider now.
Yes, a very important one. Buybacks sound great, signal confidence, right? but the way they're taxed has changed.
Mhm.
For shareholders, the proceeds might now be treated more like dividend income.
Which means potentially higher taxes than capital gains.
Exactly. It can significantly impact your actual net return, so you really need to look beyond the headline number and understand the after-tax implications. Crucial detail.
Very good point. Okay, broadening out to the wider Indian economy. GST reforms Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman called them a huge victory, expecting a consumption boost. Revised rates kick in September 22nd.
This is potentially quite significant. The idea is twofold. Simplifying the tax system should boost spending, and harmonizing taxes across states reduces those internal tariff risks, making India feel more like one single market.
Easier to do business, cheaper goods.
That's the goal. Lower costs for manufacturers, potentially lower prices for consumers. It's fundamental for growth.
And we're already seeing the anticipation play out. The auto sector expecting a bumper festive season due to the GST cut, and people canceling car loans now to wait for lower prices.
It's fascinating. Shows how quickly consumers react to policy news. They're clearly waiting for those lower prices post-September 22nd. It suggests a big surge in demand after the change.
Smart consumers. And on the manufacturing side, the PLI scheme window for white goods AC's LED lights has reopened for 30 days.
Yes, another targeted move to encourage domestic production in key consumer areas. Very strategic timing.
Shifting to agriculture. 5 million farmers taking equity in 10,000 farmer producer organizations, or FPOs. That sounds like a big step for empowerment.
It really is. FPOs give farmers scale, better bargaining power, access to markets, credit, technology. It helps insulate them from volatility. And alongside this, food inflation has actually been negative for 3 months straight.
Empowered farmers and stable food prices, that's a healthy combination for the rural economy.
Definitely paints a more resilient picture, foundational for overall growth.
And this resilience is noticed globally. The International Finance Corporation, the IFC, plans to double its annual investments in India to $10 billion by 2030.
A huge vote of confidence. And look where they're focusing. Urbanization, green energy supporting small and medium businesses, the MSMEs. It aligns perfectly with India's own growth priorities.
Especially green energy and MSMEs, the growth engines.
Precisely. The IFC's commitment isn't just money, it's an endorsement of India's economic direction.
Okay, let's quickly hit some corporate updates. SpiceJet planning a big winter expansion, adding 25 aircraft, nearly tripling daily flights.
Yeah.
Sounds bullish on travel.
Very much so. Signals strong belief in demand recovery, especially for the upcoming festive and holiday season. Also interesting, ITC Foods is moving into fresh packaged foods, short shelf life items.
Tapping into that quick commerce boom.
Exactly, adapting to how people are buying groceries now. On the flip side, though, Flipkart India reported substantial losses last fiscal year. Shows how tough and capital-hungry the e-commerce battle is here.
A real mix of strategies and outcomes. Now, the IT sector. Seeing firms diversify into electronics, semiconductors, that feels like a significant shift.
It's a crucial strategic pivot, moving beyond just services into hardware core tech. It's about de-risking, addressing supply chain issues that became obvious recently, and tapping into the Make in India push for electronics.
Building more of the foundational tech stack domestically.
Yes, and innovation is clearly funded. EdTech saw a 5x funding surge in the first half of this year, much of it into AI solutions. VCs are also hiring specialists for deep tech AI, space tech, robotics.
So lots of excitement in deep tech and ed tech funding.
Huge excitement. But here's the paradox. Overall hiring in the broader IT industry dipped slightly, maybe 2–3%. Seems AI adoption is automating some roles, even as it creates new ones, plus there's general economic uncertainty.
AI is a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
Fascinating. Okay, energy. Nayara Energy, part owned by Russia's Rosneft, now fully reliant on Russian oil because of EU sanctions.
Yeah, that's a direct consequence. Shows how geopolitics directly impacts corporate supply chains, forcing difficult choices and sometimes complete reliance on specific sources.
A real-world example of sanctions biting.
Definitely. Domestically, related to energy, the government's proposing an approved list for solar module wafers, effective 2028, another push for local manufacturing. And Uttar Pradesh led solar installations recently.
Good to see regional uptake. Money markets check.
Yeah.
India's Forex reserve saw a nice percentage increase recently. Retail inflation popped up in August, but staying within the RBI's range. So the expectation is the RBI holds rates steady in October.
That's the consensus. The reserves give a good cushion. And the RBI seems likely to prioritize growth for now, especially with that potential U.S. Fed cut coming. They probably want to avoid tightening too soon. It's a balancing act.
Makes sense. And China letting the yuan appreciate gradually. That's expected to help other emerging market currencies.
Potentially, yes. A stronger yuan can act like a regional anchor. Plus, if U.S. rates do fall, capital often flows to emerging markets seeking better returns. So, a stable to stronger yuan could improve the overall investment climate for EMs.
Okay, tying this all together globally. The U.S. Fed rate cut expected this week, driven by a weaker labor market. Markets everywhere are watching.
It's the big event. The Fed's walking a tightrope, weak jobs, suggesting a need for stimulus, but still some inflation concerns. Their decision will have global shockwaves influencing currencies, commodities, capital flows, everything.
Meanwhile, U.S.-China tensions simmer. Officials met in Madrid about trade, the TikTok deadline. And the U.S. is pushing allies, including India and China, for steep tariffs on Russian oil.
Yeah, but China's pushing back hard on that while also asking the U.S. to ease its own export controls. It really shows the complex dance trade, tech, geopolitics all mixed up.
And Russia welcoming India's strategic autonomy amidst this pressure.
Right. It highlights how countries like India and China are trying to navigate these great power rivalries while protecting their own interests, particularly energy security.
Turning to other flashpoints, North Korea has now legally declared itself a nuclear state, calling it irreversible. That sounds ominous.
It definitely hardens their position, makes diplomacy much tougher, a significant shift. And in the Middle East, intensified Israeli bombing in Gaza, coinciding with U.S. Secretary of State Rubio's visit, shows the conflict remains volatile despite diplomatic effort.
And Australia is committing a huge $12 billion over 10 years for nuclear submarine facilities.
That's a major long-term strategic investment. A clear signal about bolstering defense capabilities and alliances in the Indo-Pacific really speaks to the shifting power dynamics in the region.
Domestically in the U.S., the White House seeking more security funds after the Charlie Kirk shooting, FBI probing possible links, highlights the political tensions there.
Indeed, reflecting deep polarization. And separately, an elderly Sikh woman detained by immigration in California sparked protests, bringing immigration policy and rights concerns back into focus.
Lots happening globally. Okay, let's end on a different note. A really exciting bit of tech innovation. Researchers using light instead of electricity for AI chips.
This is potentially huge. Developed at the University of Florida, this light-powered chip could make AI systems up to 100 times more energy efficient.
100 times. Wow, what does that actually mean?
Well, think about the massive data centers and the electricity AI currently consumes. This could slash that energy use. It means AI could become cheaper, more powerful, run cooler, maybe be deployed in places we can't currently because of power needs.
So, tackling AI's big energy problem head on.
Exactly. It could fundamentally change the game for computing, for sustainability, and just accelerate how widely we can use advanced AI. A really groundbreaking development with massive potential.
Incredible potential indeed. And just before you go, a quick note. This deep dive commentary was put together using advanced AI. We always strive for accuracy, but please do cross-verify any crucial information yourself. Your informed decisions are what matter most.